Hello and welcome to the third and final little talk during this Novena to the Sacred Heart, which ends today here at Divine Mercy Parish. I was remembering back to an experience on the long retreat, so the spiritual exercises, the full spiritual exercises of St. Ignatius of Loyola. This would have been in November of 2011. And I was on this retreat, and on this retreat in preparation for final vows in the Jesuits, God was preparing me throughout my life, and maybe most intensely during this retreat for a special grace, or a grace that I had longed to receive. That grace of some way, to some degree, of knowing the love of God for me. So on this retreat, once I was praying, I was making the retreat, this program in Manila in the Philippines. And we went just outside Manila to a town called Novena, to Sacred Heart Retreat House. And I remember this one prayer period. I was sitting in my room. It was sort of afternoon, maybe 1 or 2 o'clock. And of course, the Philippines is a tropical country, so it was extremely hot. And as I was sitting in the chair, also because of the heat or the location, the climate, what have you, that there were a lot of ants. And usually during my prayer, it was marked by many distractions. And one of the more sort of continuous distractions was that I would feel these numerous ants walking on my body, be it maybe up my pant leg or on my arms or my hands or on my head, what have you. And so I would spend lots of times in this prayer hitting or flicking the ants off me. In a way, during the prayer, because I was sedentary, it was almost like I was at war with the ants for that 1 hour or those 45 minutes. In this one prayer, I remember distinctly that whatever God was doing within me in preparation to receive more fully this special grace, of in some way knowing to some degree the knowledge of God's love for me personally, as I was hitting the ants or I was flicking them off me, as I was again raging day 17 of my war, all of a sudden I thought to myself, I no longer want to be at war with the ants. I no longer want this 1 hour of prayer, which I would do 5 times a day, to sort of be a time of almost like a holocaust for these ants, that I would kill 100 of them during my 1 hour of prayer. And so I thought to myself, I no longer want to do that. I no longer want to be at war with the ants. And in a way that I know sounds kind of crazy, I stopped wanting to kill the ants or the black bugs or the mosquitoes, whatever insect it was. Since then, with a few exceptions, maybe when I forgot or a mosquito bit me on the head and I would hit that spot where I could feel it, by and large, I haven't killed too many mosquitoes or ants. And again, I know this sounds so insignificant. But within me, it was a moment again of preparation. that in a way that war with the ants or the mosquitoes, it was almost like an image of how I was with the world. That I would view the world antagonistically, because in many ways I viewed myself antagonistically. And I was just tired of it. I didn't want to be that way. I didn't want to be that person anymore. I wanted to be a different person. I wanted God to make me into a new creation. And now, staying on that same retreat, we fast forward maybe a week when we were praying the Passion. And I remember in prayer thinking about the Passion in my own way. I would imagine the Lord in his public ministry, that he would be preaching something, say for example, the Beatitudes, that he'd be preaching, blessed are the poor in spirit, or the merciful, or those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, or those who mourn. And I would imagine myself being there 2,000 years ago, and the Lord preaching, and having finished, he would look for me, and then we would make eye contact. And having made eye contact with my eyes, I would say to him, Lord, I've never heard such words as these. These are by far the most amazing things I've ever heard. But I have to say, I still don't understand. And so then, me having communicated to him my lack of understanding, and in a way, he would just nod and move on to trying something else. And then I would imagine him healing the paralytic or the leper. And again, having restored bodily strength to the paralytic, I would imagine him looking through the crowd to find me. And then having found me again, we make eye contact. And with my eyes, I would say to him, Lord, I thought your words of preaching were the most amazing things I could ever hear. But now I can see something even more incredible, that you restored strength to the body of this man who has been paralytic for so many years. And even though it is the most incredible thing I have ever seen, I still don't understand. And then again, he would nod his head and go and try something else. Maybe he would go and bring Lazarus back to life, restore him to life. But I remember towards the end of this prayer, I imagine myself at the cross, and the Lord has died. And I'm with Mother Mary and Mary Magdalene. And we can see the Roman soldiers taking Jesus down from the cross. But when they removed him from the cross, they didn't care about him. They removed him violently. And I remember him hitting the ground like with a thud and sort of rolling a bit as he hit the ground. And then I told the two Marys, I told them to wait there and let me go and see, sort of inspect the body. And when I went over to the body of the dead Lord, I remember seeing his face. And in his face, I saw the trials of the day. I could see the marks of the sweat and the accumulation of dust and dirt. I could see splatters, traces of blood from the crown. I could see tracks of tears from his eyes. I could see indeed that he had suffered immensely beyond how we could understand. And in seeing the face of the crucified and dead Christ, I didn't see something horrific. Rather, I saw the most beautiful thing I have ever seen. that in seeing that face, to God I said, I am so sorry. I am so sorry that you had to go to this extent. But now I understand. But now I understand who I am for you. That is, I understand, though imperfectly in this life, but to a degree I now understand in my mind and heart that indeed I am beloved by God, that indeed I am the friend of God, that indeed I am that precious child of the Father, that I am the apple of his eye. And so on this last day of the Novena, or of our celebration of the Solemnity of the Sacred Heart, that this devotion in the church is about God's love for humanity, revealed to us in Christ. And good for us to reflect upon the gospel of the day of the solemnity in which we hear. At that time, Jesus said, I thank you, Father, Lord of heaven and earth, because you've hidden these things from the wise and the intelligent and have revealed them to infants. Yes, Father, for such was your gracious will. He continued, all things have been handed over to me by my Father, and no one knows the Son except the Father, and no one knows the Father except the Son, and anyone to whom the Son chooses to reveal him. Come to me, all you that are weary and are carrying heavy burdens, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light. At the beginning of the passage, we hear Jesus in prayer. In the Gospel of Matthew, I think there are only 3 instances, and this being one of them. So we give special attention, his own prayer to the Father. And what is the occasion of this prayer? The occasion is that in the passages just prior to this, we see opposition to him. We see most people are rejecting him, especially the leaders in his faith, the Pharisees and the scribes and the Sadducees. They reject him, they reject his revelation. However, this prayer is a prayer of thanksgiving because though many reject him, there are some who accept him. There are some who accept his revelation. And though they be less, he gives a prayer of thanksgiving to the Father. And this remark of his about being hidden from the wise and the intelligent, this is not about a person's IQ, but rather it is about a person's openness, sort of like a childlike openness to receive what he is revealing and proclaiming, ultimately to receive him. And so then, if we rest in him, that is, when you hear the word rest, think of peace. That our souls will be at rest, our souls will be at peace. And what is the source of this peace? We will still carry burdens, we will still bear the yoke. So it is not effortless, it is not the road is paved perfectly smoothly. There will still be trials, there will still be suffering. It is not sort of the piece of cake life. What then is the source of this peace? No one knows the Father except the Son, and anyone to whom the Son chooses to reveal him. The source of this peace that helps us persevere and endure these difficulties without being lost in the storm or consumed by its powers. It is the knowledge of the Father. That is, it is the knowledge of the love of the Father. To know indeed that personal love. To know indeed that one is a beloved daughter or son. To know indeed that one is the apple of his eye. It is that giving of the Father's love through the Son that we can see it, that we can hear it, and that we can know it in mind and heart. And so I started this little talk about not wanting to kill ants or mosquitoes. To receive the love of the Father, it transforms us. It transforms us into a new creation. In this life, none of us will ever fully be that. But we grow closer. And that transformation, it is by his love. And it is through his love that we grow in becoming him. That we grow in that his life becomes our life. That transformation by his love, through his love, that we become his love. And so it's not about ants or mosquitoes, but rather through this devotion of the Sacred Heart, to see and to know, to understand that which is beyond understanding. That each of you is the apple of his eye. That each of you is so loved by him that God the Father gave his only begotten Son. And so our souls will be at rest. That is, our souls will be at peace. Because we are coming to know the love of the Father. And the love of the Father, it's everything. God bless and happy feast day.